Liam and John, before we get talking about football, isn't it great to be back talking about football?
It is, I suppose, Donal, sitting in the hot seat and as well as we call it, yeah, with all the questions. But yeah, it's great. Look, we're back in on the competitive road now again, and it's and yesterday was competitive, and we have a lot of talking points. And look, we're looking forward to the campaign ahead, because after coming off after a great year, now we're expecting another good year. But look, we're walking targets now this year, this Kerry team, and it's going to make things very interesting.
Yeah, John Kennedy, all around Kerry today, it's amazing. You know, we're not talking about winning the All-Ireland anymore. We're talking about the latest game and the game that was just played. It's amazing how fast we forget about winning All-Irelands when you have a game in front of you that you don't win. The whole of the county's talking about it and who should have played and what. So loads of talking points for tonight's show.
Yeah, loads of talking points, Donal, and you know it's January. It's great to be back. I suppose the thing out the weekend is looking at the games, how competitive they were, the levels of fitness so early in the year. You know, Kerry with 5 of the All-Ireland team, starting team going to Ballyboffey, it was always going to be tough. But I think the disappointing thing is that we were in control of the game and we let it slip in the second half. Mm-hmm. But look, I'd say there's more learned from that than if we had won. You know, and it's experience for a lot of guys. A lot of guys tried out and. You know, bring on Monaghan, I suppose, next week.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't rush to next week already. God, we have an hour to talk about Donegal. Liam, the team were named, I suppose, Friday evening, and when the team came out, I looked at it and I said, that's
not a bad team.
That's a decent team. That's a strong team. I know people said there's only 5 that started the All-Ireland, but they were all footballers. They've all played. They've all been kind of around the block. A lot of the guys on the bench, obviously, looking for, I suppose, experience of big game time. But it still looked like a team that could do a job.
It did, Donal, and a lot of these guys have been on the panel with the last year or two, and they're getting their chance now. And I think that's the most important thing that we have to get, that these guys will have to, they're getting their chance now. And yesterday, I suppose, the way you can look at it is, Donegal's a hard place to go, first league game. Conditions, Ballyboffey is always, even the time when we used to be playing up there, like it was always raining, wind and the whole lot. Grass probably a bit, it was a heavy pitch. And I think it took a lot of our guys, maybe took a lot out of our guys. You could see in the second half, we don't have much work done as other teams. And it did show a small bit, all right. That we were panting a bit. There was guys that you could see that were after passing a ball in the first half, they'd run on. There was no running on in the second half. It was just a case of kick it in and hope whoever gets it does a bit of magic. So a lot of that is down to fitness and basically the first game out.
Explain that to listeners who are listening tonight. The conditions of a tough field. No matter how fit you are, I mean, it takes more out of you. I mean, you go in, of course, and you're nice and dry till you walk out to the field. Next thing you're wet up to your socks and the whole lot. But you're not able to make ground. You're not able to make the speed, and it does take an awful out of the legs.
It does, and especially then, like the way football has gone now, and especially Donegal yesterday. Like when a Kerry player got the ball, there was 2 or 3 guys around him straight away. If the pitch was a bit harder and the ball was coming a bit quicker, the good footballer would get away a lot easier. Whereas yesterday there was a lot of heavy hits taken. The ground was heavy. The ball, and like the ball to be wet. Conditions. January is always a hard time. It's winter football, and if you look back to last year when we played Kildare above in Kildare as well, we struggled, but we came out after that game and we've learned a lot. And like John said, I think we've learned a lot from yesterday as well. Our transition out of defence with the ball was slow. It was kind of over and back instead of forward. I know we're missing a lot of guys, but this is a chance for fellas that have been on the verge of the panel with the last maybe 2 years or coming into it to say, right, I want to put my hand up here, maybe hold on to a jersey for a couple of weeks down with the league. And there's a few of them there. We have a lot of question marks Donal about them.
We'll ask those questions in a second. John, it's guess we're talking about winter football. I mean, but Kerry played for the first 10 or 12 minutes. I mean, apart from, we'll say, the first 4 minutes where we couldn't possibly get past it, or as it takes a while to work out. It was a very defensive Donegal team. They flooded back. Nothing that we wouldn't unexpect, but still kind of difficult, I suppose, when you're facing it. But in saying that, they played very good football at a very early stage and they ran up a huge lead. I mean, the goal was a gift, obviously. But I mean, you'd expect from that start to maybe hold on.
You would, Donal. I think they started well. The defence was on top. The main Donegal forward, McBrearty, wasn't in it. Our midfield were winning. We were getting balls up to the forwards. Darragh Roach was showing very well. Paul Murphy kicked a great score. We got the fortuitous goal, I suppose. But it was work rate. I thought the work rate they had was excellent. The turnovers, I think
turned over Donegal,
7 turnovers to 1, and that showed the appetite and the hunger. But some of the scores didn't come, and that's the difference. When you're away from home, you need to get those scores. We left Donegal. Donegal got 3 points before half time. They were critical, because they were going in a goal down, whereas if they'd gone in 5 or 6 points down, it would have been a different story in the second half. But we used a lot of energy. We worked extremely hard, and as I said, we got the fortuitous goal. But the pluses, I think, was Darragh Roach was looking very sharp up front, very strong on the ball. We compared him off the air to Johnny Crowley, very hard to dispossess. Our half hour line working very hard.
You're staying with the Glenflesk team, boys, are you? But you're not comparing to anybody else on either Glenflesk there.
The half hour line was working very hard, and I thought our defenders, Mike Breen was doing well. Paul Murphy was showing for the ball in the attack. He was coming up the field. You'd wonder where Donegal would get the scores from. But then that OB, like in Conor O'Donnell and Jamie Brennan and Caelan McColgan, the new guy wing back, his first start, they gained confidence. They got a few scores. The home crowd got behind them, and it's an intimidating atmosphere in Ballybofey. It's a very tight pitch. The crowd are in the top of you, and they're very vocal. And the longer that they stayed in it, those scores before half time were critical. Going in at half time, there was a pep in their step, and they really hit the ground running when they came out in the second half. They got the first 3 scores.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, they got 7 scores in a row, which is massive in a game that's that difficult. When you're playing a team, you obviously know a lot of Donegal players, I suppose, over the thing. You're expecting Michael Murphy, McBrearty. How difficult is it to plan for the new players? The 3 boys that made their debut, especially the wing back. I mean, had there been a bit of kind of coverage done on him at the start, you might have been sitting back more on him the whole lot. But how difficult is it at this stage to line out against a team and say, God, there's 3 fellas here, we know where they came from?
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard in the league. I suppose come championship you would be doing a bit of homework into players, all right, but in the league you would just be going out and hoping that maybe the new guy mightn't succeed. But then again, look, I think yesterday we did a lot of things well. Like John said there, our harrowing, our turnovers was fantastic in the first half. The thing that left us down really was our shot conversion. I think we were 43% for our conversion. Last year we were up around the late 60s, 70s all year. Donegal were 59% yesterday, so that just shows that we just weren't putting the ball over the bar, and that means a lot in games like that. When you were away from home, tough conditions. Tony Brosnan had 2 off the post in the first half. All these little things come back and haunt you in the end, and it did yesterday. We could have. When we were going well, we just didn't push it on more. And I think we had the chances, even in the second half there. Pa Warren had the chances, a couple of the guys, and it just didn't go over for them. And it just gave Donegal oxygen, and they came down the field and they kicked the winner.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Donegal scores, in fairness, I mean, they were some terrific scores. I mean, we failed to convert what I would say were probably regular shots or easy shots. There's certainly shots that were in the scoring zone, but some of Donegal's points were from centre midfield. Yeah, and I suppose Donegal are always noted for these big, high, long kicks, and with Mark Brerety's kick at the end was a fantastic score. It was a score that it's well deserved to win any game, but disappointing for the Kerry lads, because we had chances. The first outing, a lot of new guys there, that were playing together, and they would have nice to come down even with a point out of it. And you could see with Jack after, he was disappointed. There was something there for us. The league is going to be hard for points, and it is very important to stay in Division 1. I think that's going to be our main aim this year. Is there an actual danger we won't stay in Division 1? There is, Donal. Yeah, you saw Dublin were in the same position last year. Next weekend's game against Monaghan is going to be a huge game for Kerry, because you have to win your home games. Mm-hmm. Home games in the league is very important, and maybe pick up a win or 2 away from home then. But yeah, and you saw Roscommon, Mayo, Galway. They're all eager. They're all fit. So it's we're giving guys breaks, but I'd say now after next weekend there could be a lot of the big boys could be back again. A bit of hair dryer maybe. Some of the comments coming in, of course, you can get your comments into 066 712 3666 or text us on 083 300 3300 WhatsApp as well. Just some of the couple of comments coming in. Good evening, Donal. Just 2 comments on yesterday's game. What's the opinion of your analyst? Well, we've got 2 of them, so we can ask him 2 comments. On the ball that tailed off wide but was signalled for a point. Now, I don't know if we have a bit of footage on that, but what we might do now is we'll play Jack O'Connor I can't think of the right word. Prickly might be a nice word for it, particularly after the match. And he was speaking to Aisling O'Reilly, and this was his comments.
How are you feeling after that game? A 1-point loss to Donegal here in Ballybuffet.
Disappointed, it's you always want to get on the board early and get some points on the board, so disappointing going home now, a long goal journey, so we lick our wounds and dust ourselves down and go again next weekend.
Yeah, there was one point in particular that was quite controversial at the start. It was waved wide, then it was given. What was your view on it?
Well, it was wide, everybody, I don't know how many thousand people were here today, but I'd say every one of them thought it was wide except the umpire. But anyway, sure, look, that's what happens when you're in away grounds. You don't tend to get breaks.
Did you say anything to any of the
sure.
sideline?
What's the point? There isn't much point. The linesman beside me said it was wide, but sure, look. Anyway, let's not dwell on it. Look, Donegal put up a good fight there in the second half and came strong, and fair dues to them. Make great to kick the good score to win it.
Yeah, it's not easy to come to Ballybuffet, especially without probably some of your key players.
Look, we I don't even want to dwell on that. We have what players we have at the moment, and they're putting in a great shift and they fought hard here today, but just fell a bit short. So we have an opportunity at home now next weekend to try and get points on the board, and that's what we'll be focusing on now.
Yeah, disappointing, but it is a chance to see new players, to give them a chance at this level as well.
Well, it is, but you don't want to get into the habit of losing games now. It's a bad habit to get into, and certainly not one that we want to get into.
The habit of losing games. John Kennedy, is it a habit? You start to lose one, you could lose a second one. I mean, to put it, I suppose, into context, we've lost 2 of the 3 we've played. The only team we beat this year is Clare. Cork hammered us, and you saw what happened to them against the Meath team. Is there a danger that this is becoming a habit?
Well, you see, Donal, when you start winning, you gain momentum. You're going in as All-Ireland champions. It's a totally different kettle of fish. Back after a holiday, not a lot of work done. There's no need to press the panic buttons yet. But, the Monaghan game all of a sudden becomes very important to win your home game. If we had got a draw yesterday in Ballybuffet, with the way things worked out, it would have been a very valuable point. Yeah. But we didn't. And Jack, he played down that, it's not good enough at this level to see hesitancy by umpires. Signal it wide, then you talk to the ref. The ref gives the point. The linesman near Jack said it was wide. I mean, it's not good enough. Mm-hmm. And I think particularly with the way the championship is structured now this year, every league placing is going to be critical. Mm-hmm. So every mistake that's made could have a knock-on effect down the road. But he kind of passed off there about who's missing. Liam said about 43% conversion rate. Mm-hmm. You're missing 3 of the best forwards in the country. Shawnee Shea, the 2 Cliffords, and Paul Gainey. Mm-hmm. So they're our go-to players. They're our guys that are going to get the scores. They're bringing up our average. Yeah. Their conversion rate is very high. But you have to learn. And I think if we consolidate our position in Division 1 at the end of the league, and we unearth 3 or 4 more players that we can say, yes, you can put those guys in the heat of battle, they'll do a job. I think that's a victory in itself. Mm-hmm.
Is that what it's about, the couple of rounds of the league this time, to find those extra players? I mean, if you were starting 6 forwards yesterday, Darragh Roach can hold his hand up and say he came off with 3 points, didn't get a lot of possession in the second half, probably didn't come into him, and I suppose he was well marshalled. I suppose, seeing that they probably know who he was in the first half, but obviously they're going to mark him a bit more in the second half. Would you be a little bit disappointed to say that, this is a big chance to kind of push myself into the spotlight and I didn't take it, and the chances don't come around too often?
No, and when there's that many of your star players missing, that's when you'd like to have these guys hold up their hand and say, this guy can do something in the heat of battle in a championship game for you. And yesterday, Darragh Roach, you could see something that there isn't Darragh. Adrian Spillane, worked tirelessly, yesterday. Did a lot of work, probably lacking fitness, probably there. Darragh Moynihan, was decent enough. Tony was too far out from goals. No, I don't know. Is he playing the Paddy Clifford role where you start him in the corner and he comes out? But that doesn't suit Tony. Tony needs to be beside. Tony's a scorer. He's a natural scorer. He's either beside the goals or because he was kicking the ball into his own man yesterday because they were playing the third man inside in front of the 2 boys and it was hard to break down. No, Killian Spillane, there was splurts where Killian, you could see he was dangerous. But look, we'd be hoping over time when they're getting fitter and when a couple of the guys come back as well, it probably when like you throw David Clifford in there, it opens it up for the other forwards as well, because there's bodies watching David, so all these guys. But we'd like to see fellas. I thought Mike Breen now yesterday was another guy that you could say, yeah, he'll do something for us before the year's out. Midfield, I have a worry about a midfield, and I met a guy before Christmas, I was telling you off here, and he said we were on about David Clifford, and and he made perfect sense. He basically said David Clifford mightn't win too many All-Irelands unless Kerry get a midfield. And he might be right, because a midfield is very important. And I thought yesterday, we were average enough there, and David Moran gone now. I think that's going to be a big problem around the middle of the field for us this year, that area.
Mm-hmm. Another problem there, Michael Brosnan from Skibbereen, is the other comment bringing up the goalie to take a 25-metre free straight in front of the goal, especially with Tony Brosnan and Darren Roach on the field. How costly will this be further on the league as we've left this game after us? First of all, a point, and there's kind of a lot of different various comments about bringing the goalkeeper up the field, to take the free. A lot of pressure on the goalkeeper. If you come up the field, you're expected to score, really, aren't you? Yeah,
well, I suppose with conditions the way they were, kicking off the hands in them conditions is hard, John. Yep. And I suppose the goalkeeper is the one guy that can come up and has been practicing these kicks and against the breeze, but it didn't see. Well, Tony was it the first two, and he hit the post. Yeah. But like you would be wondering, with these guys, we could see the breeze the way it was blowing, and we seemed to be hitting it at the wrong side of the post the whole time. So I'd say Jack over the sideline, we'd be tearing his hair out as well. So yeah, a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, it seemed to be difficult conditions as well. Thank you. Good evening, Michael Brosnan. Fair pleasure. Thanks for tuning in to us all the way down there in Skibbereen. A couple more of you getting in. Jack seemed to be very hot at the end of the game yesterday. I wonder what was said to him. I think we've discussed that. That was about the point. Lads, it's 29th of January. Don't get too worried. Kerry kicked about 7 points wide yesterday, and it's always a tough place to go up in Donegal. And I think that's probably fair enough. That we're not getting too worried, but we're still here to analyse the game, whether we won it by 5 points or lost it by a point. Unlucky lads, no medals are handed out in January. That's for absolute sure, unless it's the Murgagh Cup maybe. Despite the result, it was a good game. It was a competitive game, I suppose, really, John, wasn't it? I wouldn't say it was a good game.
It was competitive, and lads gave their all, and they left it on the field. And
it was January football.
It was January football, yeah. Conditions weren't great, and Liam said pitch probably was sapping the energy. But look, I suppose looking at the panel and speaking about it, going back to it again, with the format of the championship this year, I think the panel is going to play a huge part. Injuries.
You're going to need a big panel.
Well, you need a big panel, and you need guys to come in, and I think that's where it's going to be very important, and that's why, Donal O'Sullivan came into the game. He looked impressive.
Mm-hmm. Rory Murphy.
They showed a bit of go on them. Donal got a great point. Rory kicked a great score and was unlucky with another one. But it's good to see lads having a go, I think. They weren't recycling, they were taking it on, and that's what it's all about, and hopefully we'll see those again the next day.
Liam, is it easier in a game like that to come on and have a cameo with 5 minutes to go, where everything goes right for you maybe in 2 runs, whereas where you start the game and you've put in a tough 45 minutes and a couple of mistakes go against you, fellas will remember you for that. Is it easier to step on the field at that stage?
It is, yeah. There's less pressure.
But the reason I ask is obviously you were quite experienced.
Because I used to do a lot.
John Kennedy coming off and you be coming on.
Yeah, it would be a lot easier to come off the bench, because the expectation wouldn't be as high, and if you do well, it's great, and if we don't, there's more talk about the guys that start more than the fellas that come off the bench. But yeah, look, all the guys that came off the bench yesterday added something to it. They added the fresh legs, even Pa Warren, even though he had a bad wide. He got on a lot of ball. Greg Horan caught a couple of good balls. Stephen O'Cumbar looked like a guy that could maybe do something for you as the year goes on if he gets a bit more football. But Rory Murphy and Donal Sullivan, Donal Downs and Rory Murphy look like 2 guys that will definitely offer us something throughout the year.
Lads, we were talking about I suppose the impact of a lot of the players. A comment in here, look, Paddy Clifford, David Clifford, Brino Begley, Gavin White, Shawnee O'Shea, Paul Ganey, Stephen O'Brien, Dermot O'Connor, Shane Ryan, all missing, and we still lose by 1 point. Will you take the positives out of yesterday, please? And I suppose that is the positive. I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, John, we obviously need to get as many points to survive and stay, I suppose, in the championship. But we also have this quality to come back in.
There's no doubt about it. Like, and it's when the team was selected, we said it was a decent team, but you look 5 at the starting All Ireland team. That's a huge change around of personnel. And off the air we were speaking there. If we kicked a few frees we missed yesterday, we'd have won the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a free taker in winter football is crucial at any time, but particularly that. Shawnee Shea would have kicked all those yesterday. I suppose you don't realise how good a guy or how consistent a guy is until he's missing. And like the 4 or 5 frees that we missed, 2 off the post maybe, 1 or 2 more wide, 1 drop shot, that was the difference at the end of the day. But what would be worrying was that the amount of wides we had I think something like 6 wides in a 7-minute or 8-minute period there when the game was in the balance. I think from the 54th minute onwards. And any one of those, it was oxygen to the home supporters and to the Donegal team, and it was deflating us. We had to work hard in the conditions to get the chances. We didn't take them. That's disappointing.
And they were all bad wides, I suppose.
They were bad wides. They should have been scored.
And they're energy-sapping wides in weather like that, yeah.
Lads, Barry Dan played well, apart from that one loose pass. I thought he was best option at midfield yesterday. And another comment in. Donal Sullivan Down really deserves to start. He was bright and enthusiastic when he came on. If he was that lively, maybe he should have started.
Yeah, but look, our listener, he might be starting next week, so we might get a look at him inside in Fitzgerald Stadium next Sunday. So yeah, it's good. Look, it's good to see Donal coming back into form again, because we've seen him down through the years. His underage career, fantastic footballer, and will add a lot of things for Kerry. And the thing about this Kerry team and the team that was announced, they're all good footballers. That's why we're talking here. That we know that these guys are good footballers. And there's just a few things that that you'll be ill to it, that they could do better. So it's not saying that we're missing 10 or 12, or we know what we have to come back in, but we'd like to see these guys show what they can do. And a lot of these guys are getting an opportunity now, and it's time to take it. And I think like we've been big fans of a lot of these fellas throughout the championship and everything, and the county championship. And like Dara Roach, one of them, really did well yesterday. And I'd like to see a lot of them, to offer us something when it comes to championship.
But I think Liam, you've said it several times. Like, it's the transition from county championship to National League, and huge difference.
Big change.
And like, you can see the way players, when they go in, they're formed, they're at a level. The training actually brings them back down before they come back up again. So I'd be looking forward to like Donal now and these guys, Dara Roche. They have a season of training under their belts. That's strength and conditioning. And like it will come to fruition, there's no doubt. And they're all good footballers. I think Jack and the management have the best players in the panel. Yeah. I don't hear anybody saying another should be inside. In fairness,
not like the old days.
In
fairness, no.
Yeah, absolutely. Donal Paul Murphy had a really good game. Took his scores really well. He kicked 2 great points, no doubt. Donal. When did we become the Springboks? I think that's referring to the jerseys. Is there a deer or something on the front of the blue jersey? We could hardly see it yesterday, of course. It was so well. I think that's a jersey one. Actually, get your comments in about the jersey as well. I want to talk about it. Are you fans?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was nice.
Did you buy it?
I wouldn't.
Did you buy it already?
I didn't know, not yet. No, I have my name in front of it.
For sure, you're an official sponsor, so you got 5 of them for free.
No, I think it was a nice away jersey.
Yeah. John, do you ever play in the blue jersey?
Did a few times, yeah. Played against Meath one year, different to that now, but I thought, look, the green and gold is number 1, of course. But I thought it was a good alternative,
nice jersey,
in fairness. A lot of positive comment about it.
I've one comment I'll read out in a while about it. Not too positive, but
I think the blue one actually it's nearly as nice as the one we had in the Adidas one. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh yes, I do. Yeah,
in blue was a lovely jersey as well.
Are you going back a good bit now? Jesus, I suppose you still have in the wardrobe. Have you?
I still have. My mother probably has it somewhere.
A lot of them hanging around. Yeah, a lot of nice jerseys. Hi Donal, Kerry were unlucky to lose. It was good to see lads like Dara Roach and Barry O'Sullivan play well. That's Charles out there. Good evening, Charles. Thanks for tuning in as well. Disappointing result, but not unexpected. Scores were always going to be hard to come by, missing so many well-established forwards. Disappointed the French forwards didn't take their chance when starting. Must be frustrating to undertake such a return journey and come back empty-handed. Hard for amateur players recovery-wise. Yeah, it's a tough old journey home, isn't it? Donegal.
It's a tough journey, and this league, the structure is tough. You're out in 7 days again.
And we're heading up that side of the country a good bit of time.
Yeah.
But you look at it, Donal, the games at the weekend. There's going to be no easy game in Division 1. Actually, the league is so competitive right through the 4 divisions. I think that's the plus of the National League. You're playing teams at your own level. from Division 1 to 4. But Division 1, Roscommon beating Terrace was a big surprise to me, and Mayo experimenting, getting a draw with a great score by Ryan O'Donoghue against Galway. It just goes to show, teams are prepared now, and the league is crucial.
And even Monaghan coming down here next week are going to be no slouches. No. They put a fierce battle up with Armagh as well. So yeah, it's going to be a tough league, and that's why yesterday coming away with nothing might, it kind of hurts a small bit, all right, because there was something there for us.
Would we have been better off being beaten by 10 points yesterday and be done with it? But this idea that we nearly got something out of it. I mean, we still lost, but I mean, we're hanging on to the hopes that we could have got a draw and we should have got a draw. But would it have been a lot easier if we just got beat by 10 points and be done with it?
If we beat by 10 points, they'd be all sacked.
Oh Lord, don't go there. Come here, the format. John Kennedy's been doing a bit of homework anyway. Hopefully he was writing it down, because the league is more important this year than it's ever been for kind of putting you back into a championship structure. And of course there is a new championship structure. I suppose for years we've been saying, we don't get enough games, we won't get enough games, and we have a long wait between the Munster final and the quarter final, and we don't know who we're playing. This year it's well mapped out, John. A lot more games, a lot more competitive, and you touched on it earlier that we'll need a lot more players, obviously, and I suppose this is why the league is crucial on two ends. But explain to the listeners how important it is, first of all, to get as high a position in the league as you can.
I suppose, Donal, there's going to be 16 teams with 4 groups, 8 provincial finalists, Westmeath, who won the Talton Cup, and the next 7 highest placing in the league.
So there's only 16 teams in the championship this year?
16 teams in the championship this year.
For Sam Maguire.
And there'll be 4 groups of 3. The 4 groups, the top 3 from each group will come out, so that's 12. And 2 and 3 will play off to come down to 8.
Okay.
So it's there will be teams in Division 2. The bottom half of Division 2 is going to be interesting. We'll say, take for instance Cork, Meath, Dublin, Kildare, Clare.
Yeah.
Some of those teams will not qualify for the Sam Maguire.
You would nearly want to win Division 2 to guarantee yourself. Yeah.
You would, yeah.
We're not in Division 2, Liam, we're not that bad yet, don't worry.
No, we're alright,
okay.
But I'm talking about Dublin now and our neighbours Cork. So you would want to be up at the top of the Division 2.
It's critical to get to the provincial final anyway.
Yes.
That's number 1. So the provincial finalists are through.
Yeah.
That's
So get to the provincial final and you'll be in the championship.
You'll be in the championship.
So that's 8 of you taken care of.
Yes.
And then after that,
league positions.
Westmeath take 1 because they're the Talton Cup winners from last year, which is a great nugget for the team that want to win the Talton Cup this year. And then, unless they win the Leinster Championship or something and complain, but it's the next teams will feed into it. So we could be here in the last round of the league, and some team could be in the Championship this Saturday, and they could be out of the Championship the following Saturday because they lost.
It's going to be that close.
Yeah, and the only other way for them to get back into the Championship,
get the provincial final,
and unseat Dublin or Kildare or whoever should be getting there. Structurally, it's fairly open, isn't it? I mean, you know what you have to do to get to where you need to be, and then there's a provincial winner seeded. There's also a provincial loser going in there, and then there's another team that makes up the bottom. A lot of games, I'd imagine. Yeah, and that's why we said the panels are going to be very important. Injuries, we were lucky last year. We picked up very little injuries throughout the year to our main players, and it's going to be crucial this year. And we saw in our own county championship in our club down here, win game every week or every second. If you pick up an injury, you'll struggle to make it back for the following week. So yeah, it's going to be hell for leather right now for a couple of weeks there for come championship time. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on from Kerry. John Kearns had a big win yesterday, or Liam Kearns, should I say? John Kennedy. Big win for Offaly. Yeah, a big win for Offaly, and our neighbours Limerick didn't really shine in Division 2. It's going to be a hard competitive division for them as well. So it'll be interesting to see what way they. It was always going to be an eye opener for the likes of Limerick to get in and mix with the big boys. They're there now. I mean, and there's a lot of big fish in that group, isn't there? There is Division 2, and it's you'd like that. You need a big squad there as well for the likes of Limerick and stuff like that. And you'd wonder
Is it any good for the likes of Limerick to be getting beatings like that? And it'll be now, even though it's great to get up there and stuff like, but it'll be, well, I suppose, look, it'll be a bit of experience for them. And if they could prepare, and they always say if you play against better teams, you improve. But getting hidings like that, I don't know about. They only kicked 4 points yesterday.
I think from the Derry point of view, they won't be banking on getting to the provincial final.
Yeah.
I think they'll be looking at the league, as their way getting into Sam Maguire. And I think they set out their stall the weekend. They had some of the Glenfellas playing.
They had, yeah.
There was no break there. I think it's crucial for them. So it's also competitive.
Right. Are you ready to handle a tourney one?
Go on.
Right, okay. Lads, another new kit by Kerry GA. Is it really fair to bring out one every 6 months? Why was this not brought out before Christmas when parents could have bought these as presents? But no, wait until Kerry GA drain the pockets of fans and then bring out a new jersey. I remember a few years ago in an interview when the county chair slammed soccer clubs for doing the same every 4 months. What do you think, Donal, and the panel? There you go. Is there? Well, I mean, obviously, they're not going to give away the jersey for free, and I suppose the way kids are at the moment, and you are on the back of an All Ireland success, and people want to buy the jersey, and the kit comes out. It's the alternative slip. It's the way one. Is it a lot of expense? Are we changing it too often?
It's every second year, isn't it? No, how many years do we get? Is it every 3 years?
I'd say they've increased it a small bit faster.
3 years.
Yeah,
every 3 years. No, so but look. I suppose it's better than seeing a Manchester United or Liverpool jersey, Donal, isn't it?
I don't know, they might be cheaper, was it?
It is an expensive cost, there's no doubt about that. And look,
what about the point that maybe the timing of it?
Maybe bring it out before Christmas might have been a good idea. Actually,
I imagine a lot of grandparents would buy a lot of presents and. Sting them in the middle of January, maybe. That's the theme of the comment anyway, I suppose. The colour of the jersey, sure, it's always going to be blue. This whole idea that it's that we call it an alternative strip name. Why don't we just call it an away one?
Your away jersey. It's just a fancy name for away jersey, Donal.
But I wonder, would we have worn green and gold if we were playing away yesterday to Tyrone? It was the fact we were playing Donegal that we
It's just green and gold, yeah. That jersey is really worn against Meath or Mayo. I think we have an alternative against Mayo as well.
Have you seen the new Kerry FC jersey?
The green one, yeah.
It's a nice jersey.
Nice jersey, yeah.
Comment in here, Kerry FC jersey, much better than the new blue GA jersey.
Yeah, that's Ivan, is it? That's what's in that comment.
No, sure.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful jersey.
Yeah, it is a nice jersey. And we'll be looking forward to watching a couple of those games. And of course, we're putting a panel together for them as well. Absolutely. He won't be on it, lads, because you barely know enough about the football. I don't think he will manage the soccer panel.
We'll be up there with the woolly caps.
With the woolly caps. There you go, Ivan. Proper supporters. We got 2 for you already. Did you buy season tickets?
No. I'm hoping Ivan will give me his seat.
In you go. Lads, please mention the ladies. You never mentioned the ladies. Oh my God, here we go. Yeah, absolutely. We will mention the ladies. We'll actually talk to Dan Kearney after 7 o'clock. A big win, a very important win, and their second win as well in Division 1. All going very well for the 2 boys. And we will talk just after 7 o'clock to Dan Kearney about ladies football, and it'll be 15 minutes of ladies football back to back. You don't have to worry at all about it. Lads, Monaghan next week. We can't lose now at this stage, John. Is that how important this game is?
Well, I think the home games are critical, Donal. To get the 2 points at home is very important. And I think that, Monaghan coming down is the opposite. We're playing at Fitzgerald Stadium. Fantastic pitch, great sod. Probably make a few changes, I suppose, Jack. But according to his interview last night, was that he'd be picking from the same panel. Obviously, some of the guys that are out won't be back. Yeah. And it's another chance for these lads to improve on yesterday's display. Some of those guys will have been disappointing, particularly the forwards, but it wasn't a great day for kickers. To contradict that, then some of the scores that Donegal kicked were fantastic. But look, we'll learn from that. We'll have a week's training, and we'll go into Monaghan. We get the 2 points in Monaghan, and you're on the board then. And it's about building on it, really.
Mm-hmm. Couple more comments before we go to a break, and we'll catch Declan Bonner on the other side of it. Lads, is there any work being done in development squads to produce new footballing midfielders? It's a good question, actually, isn't it? We have all forwards, we're concentrating backs. Why aren't we producing midfielders? Is this now because clubs themselves aren't producing midfielders that we all now got ourselves into systems that under 13 and 14, even at club level, to avoid the big far ladder and just move at speed around the place? We're not producing them to get them.
This isn't today or yesterday this happened, Ollie, and we've been involved at underage, and it has been the Achilles heel of Kerry football for quite a number of years.
Have you seen in your travels the next David Moore at 13, 14 or 15? I watched a lot of 13-year-old games last year because I'm on the sideline with a club. Fielding a ball at that level, it's not there. You know, I mean, we've loads of forwards and we've got some great backs and some fantastic goalkeepers, but I haven't seen a lot of midfielders, or maybe it's just something that's just missing. Hi Donal, a few years back Jack lost the first round of the league and he went on to win both league and championship. That's right, he lost to Longford, didn't he? In dramatic enough circumstances as well. Was it last minute goal or late point or something as well? If I hear another mention of only 5 forwards from the All-Ireland played yesterday, complete rubbish. Maybe focus on why our forwards can't kick points from 30 yards or so. It's a mystery as to how every other team across the divisions can. I suppose it's a fair enough point. I mean, we only put 5 out, but as you said, it was still a strong team. I presume, the conversion rate, what you say, 43%?
43%, yeah.
It's pretty poor, isn't it?
That's poor kicking yesterday. And a lot of the kicks we had yesterday, they were poor kicks. A lot of the guys that even took them kicks, if they took them in a county championship match or a county league match, they'll probably go over the bar. But that's the weight of the jersey you have on our shoulders as well, and that's what makes a good footballer from a great footballer. But you'd be hoping that these guys would have learned a lot from yesterday, and that next weekend, we'd see a vast improvement. Like you don't in Kerry in these games, you don't get a whole pile of time on the ball, as John will tell you. You got to be. You've got to be on your toes, and I think yesterday was probably an eye-opener for a lot of these guys to get up the pace of what these games bring. Yeah, and it's probably a valuable lesson to learn if you're going to learn from that lesson. I suppose it might as well be the first round of this rather than the last round of the championship where we lose out. Lads, we'll take a break, and after the break we'll talk to Declan Bonner. Now you're very welcome back to Terrace Talk here on Radio Kerry. We're Richard till 8 o'clock this evening, talking to 8 till 7 o'clock, of course, with Blades football after, and we'll talk athletics from 7:30 as well. We're so depressed now, Liam, we'll talk about athletics from 7:30. But one man who isn't depressed, hopefully isn't depressed anyway, is Declan Bonner, and he joins us on the line. Delighted to have him on Terrace Talk. Declan, we're all very sad on this side of the country. I presume you're at least smiling up there in Donegal, are you?
Yeah, no, listen, a good start for us. Yeah, I'm sure you're not too disappointed. I'm sure you're still celebrating Sam there from last year. But no, listen, from a Donegal perspective, it was important that we got a result yesterday. We've been difficult to beat in McCool Park, Ballybuffet, and it was good to keep that record intact. And listen, we knew Kerry came under strength, but listen, Donegal likewise were short a lot of players, so it made for a lot of new faces out there yesterday. But from a Donegal perspective, a lot of the younger lads stood up yesterday when it mattered most, and I think overall, deserved to get to 2 points. Yeah,
I suppose the result is the most important thing, and we're talking about the championship and kind of needing to stay in the championship in your league as such, and maybe kick on later on the summer. But how important was it for a lot of the young lads yesterday? Because Kerry, we were talking there a while ago about our young lads, and we were saying, they were kind of bang average, we'll say, maybe, to be fair to them. But a lot of Donegal boys, they came out of the traps fairly lively. A lot to prove, I'd imagine, as well.
Yeah, listen, it's a new management, and I was there for 5 years, and the new management team came in fairly late, so probably starting back a bit later than most teams. And we had a kind of cup campaign where a lot of the regular players haven't come back in through injury. Hopefully we'll get a number of those back over the next number of weeks. But we knew from a perspective of remaining in Division 1 that yesterday's game was very, very important. And these guys come up, and there was a lot of new faces on that Kerry team. And but it was important from a Donegal perspective. I thought midway through the first half, it didn't look good because we. From my point of view, from a Donegal perspective, we give away a goal and 3 points by basic errors, and we came back well from that there, and finished the half strong. We'd get kicking on 3 scores. I think the start of the second half then was vital for us, but showed great character in the end, and Patrick to kick that winning score, and he was well marshalled straight the whole game, and it was the one real opportunity he did get, and he took it.
Mm-hmm. That is the sign of a great player, isn't it? I mean, we didn't see him at all, or even refer to him in commentary for most of the game, and there he goes, the last kick of the game. Donegal hold the ball for as long as they can, put him in a shooting position, and I think everybody knew once he got it and he swung on to his shooting foot, so it was going over the bar. How important is it to have a marquee player like that in your squad, particularly with the departure of, I suppose, Michael Murphy?
Yeah, it's vitally important, and Patrick's been there, he's done that, and he's leading now. He's captain of the side, and going back just even a couple of seasons ago, we played Kerry in a championship match in Ballybofane, exact same thing, just the opposite side of the pitch, last kick of the game, and we kicked it over the bar again on a match that he was well marshalled by Chrissy McCaig, and Jason Pulley had a good game on him yesterday, and he kept him very, very quiet, and ultimately you have to keep your eye on players like Patrick McBrady for 75, 76 minutes, because all they need is one chance, and he proved that again yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Will that win count for much if Donegal can't build on that fairly quickly now? I mean, we were talking about the league here and how you can win points fairly quickly and you can leave them after just as quickly in games. But I mean, for Donegal facing in another 2 points in your next outing, and all of a sudden you're establishing yourself fairly well. But if you lose and maybe lose the next one, do questions come back again maybe?
Yeah, for definite. There's no doubt about that there. It's a very competitive league, and, looking even at the results over the weekend, Roscommon beating Tyrone yesterday, and, at one stage in that game, Tyrone turned over a deficit of 3 points to 4-5 up, and, allowed Roscommon back into it again. We head into enemy territory next Sunday in Tyrone against Tyrone. That's going to be a real match next Sunday in terms of both local derby and huge rivalry between Donegal and Tyrone, and that's a big match now. Tyrone will not want to lose two in the bounce, and that's going to be a big game, and it'll be a real test for our lads, especially the younger lads going into that. It'll be a real Calden atmosphere, and it'll be a championship type match.
Yeah, and I dare say the incentive to inflict, I suppose, a second defeat on Tyrone will spur Donegal on a bit as well, and of course neighbours, of course, and the whole lot. Come here to me, answer me a question. It's away from football, I suppose. It's more about the weather. Do we ever get the chance to play Donegal on a fine day when we travel up to you, or do you just keep all the bad days in advance for us?
Well, I'll tell you, the five. The last time I took over in 2017, so 2017 to 2022, and unfortunately, the only time we played Kerry was in Kerry, and the days we're doing in Kerry were also poor, to be quite honest. I travelled there 3 of the 4 years down there, and the weather in January. I mean, I believe that. It's very difficult. Even I think we lost maybe the best part of it 8 or 9 days up here for training, because between the frost and the snow and everything else, the lads couldn't train. So, I think January, the weather in January over the last couple of seasons has been horrendous, to be quite honest. So I don't think that I think January, in my opinion, should be null and void. That'll cause extra problems in the calendar fixture, but it's a horrific month, to be quite honest. But listen, it is what it is, and as I say, there was good excitement all weekend with the games that were on, and there were some really, really good matches.
Yeah, come here to me. A lot of comments in, of course, on this side of the world, of course, with Jack O'Connor's comments. You've been there yourself, of course, as a manager. It's very difficult after a game. Somebody sticks a microphone in front of you, and maybe your thoughts aren't gathered, or maybe they're exceptionally gathered. What about that point that Jack made about the point that wasn't a point, or might have been a point, or is that kind of a small bit of gamesmanship, or is there a valid point to it?
I'm sure Jack's not going to be too. I've no doubt that Kerry will pick up a lot. You guys will pick up enough points that'll keep just in Division 1. I've no doubt about that when you bring back the heavy artillery. Listen, from where I was and the stand side, and I was just right not far from where Jack was at the game. I did definitely look wide, but we looked probably at a stage near the end of the game when the game was all square. I felt that Keelan McGonigal, it was a definite foul, whether it was inside the penalty area or not. It was a foul. So it kind of swings and roundabouts. But, it did look wide, there's no doubt about that there, and probably, I think Jack was a bit annoyed after the game, but That'll turn itself around over the next 6 matches in the league.
It does, and these decisions, they bounce with you, they bounce against you, and you're dead right, Declan. I mean, over the course they kind of level each other out anyway, so it isn't, and I don't think it takes away from Donegal's victory. We discussed that here. I think, to be very fair to Donegal, you done the best you can to let us win it. I mean, you gave away an awful lot of early possession. The goal, of course, was a bit of a disaster on Donegal front, but I was very impressed at how Donegal dug in 6 points down. I mean, most teams at that stage would probably say, there's nothing here for us today, lads, and we'll worry about next week. But they certainly found spirit, and they rolled up the sleeves, and the 3 points just before half time, hugely crucial to Donegal.
Exactly, and I mentioned that earlier on. Those were crucial scores, because at that stage of the game, when we were 1-6 and 1-5, 2 points down, you could sense there was within the crowd, this is not going to happen today. But once we kicked on those 3 scores, there was maybe we can get something out of this game at half time, and ultimately the start of the second half was important, and then the Donegal support really got in behind the team, going in that last 20 minutes. And listen, it was those younger lads that stood up. Keelan McColgan kicked 3 great points from wing half back. Conor O'Donnell again, kicked a couple of scores. Young Luke McGlynn, just out of minors, he just turned he's just 18 years of age, kicked a very, very good score. And those guys all had a major impact in yesterday's game. And out of the 13 scores we got, there were 12 of them were scored from open play, and the only dead ball we got was from Sean Patton's 45. So I'm sure Paddy Carr and his backroom team will be reasonably happy, heading back into training tomorrow night, and getting ready now. And confidence will be up going into that match against Tyrone, and it'll lead to a big performance getting in there next Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And of course, in fairness to Paddy, mentioning Creaselaw as well after, and the thoughts, and all our thoughts of our listeners are still up there with you in Donegal. That was a difficult cross to carry over the line as well, and I presume it might have been talked about or chatted about as well, but certainly a lot of emotion after the game over it.
Yeah, listen, huge, and a lot of we have a number of lads from that part of the county too, and it's a close-knit county, and everyone knows everyone else, and it was horrific in terms of what happened and how it could happen, and such a tragedy, and it's still the dark clouds are hanging over the whole county, but something like this, it does lift the spirits of the people. There's no doubt about that there, and it's important. GA said no more than Kerry. It's vitally important to all the people down there. It's also very important to us up here, and it's the one thing that keeps us together. And we're hoping for a good campaign. Listen, it's small steps, and it was a good start yesterday just to get to 2 points. And as I say, some of those younger lads putting their hand up maybe for jerseys later on when it comes championship time.
Well, Declan, thanks for joining us this evening. I dare say a lot of Kerry fans will be hoping that you'll have 4 points at the end of next week, particularly when you're travelling over to Omagh, and the very best to look to you. And it's great to see. I mean, in fairness to Donegal, they've been travelling up and down. They're long old journeys. And the Donegal ladies, of course, are travelling down to us next weekend. Maybe a chance for revenge, maybe from our other side of the bench as well. But listen, Declan, thanks very much. I have to say that, I always enjoyed interviewing you through minor as well, because we had a couple of battles there at minor level as well, and senior level. Always make yourself available to us, and it's fantastic. And Declan, the very best luck, and sure, we might chat again throughout the season. You never know, we might be playing in the All-Ireland final against you, all going well. You
never know. I wouldn't mind looking forward to that. Listen, appreciate it.
Not at all. Declan Bonner, thanks very much. That's Declan Bonner, lads. I have to say, over the course of interviewing a lot of managers, John Kennedy, I suppose some endear themselves to you, and some make it difficult for you, and some don't want to highlight. But Declan has always been, I remember Declan particularly the year that we played him behind closed doors. I think it was at Austin Sack Park it was the year that we won the league. They had to come down and play the last game and hand it over. And God, Declan spent, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes talking to us afterwards, when I imagine he just wanted to be in the bus and head home. Monaghan next week, we are at home. They're heading to Tyrone, okay? We're heading to Monaghan, or Monaghan are heading to us. We won't say it's a must-win yet, Liam, but would you be disappointed if we don't win next week?
I would, Donal. Home games. That's the key with National League. You need to pick up points in your home games, and what was interesting there, and his last line, the Donegal young fellas putting their hands up for jerseys, and that's exactly what we want to see down here with our Kerry boys. Look, we can only comment on what we saw the weekend. We'd love to be here praising them and saying they were fantastic and everything, but we would love to see guys holding their hands up, playing well, because we know what these guys can do, And I think that's coming from an inter-county manager. He's saying that he wants to see the Donegal young fellas hold their hands up. We're the exact same down here, and I think the game next week is going to be vitally important for the points, and that we can see improvement. You always want to see an improvement, and I think Monaghan, looking at Monaghan the weekend, going to be no easy game. I saw them I was above last year at the game. They're going to be tough. Now they're missing a lot as well at the moment, but it's going to be one hell of a battle, and like we're still going to be. It won't be a sunny day, and the ball won't be hopping 2 feet off the ground. It's going to be tough, and but we just hope that our Kerry lads, the guys that we're looking at here in the programme, that they might step up to the mark.
If you're Jack O'Connor, John, do you look at the 15 that went out and say, right, we'll have to change things up here, lads, or we'll give these young fellas another go?
Like Jack, in fairness, is consistent. He tends to give guys a few chances. He might make one or two, but I don't think there'll be too many changes. He'll be happy enough with a lot of it. The shot selection and the shooting definitely is something they'll work on. And a lot of the, Monaghan are coming down with a new manager too, Vinnie Corey. Jack McCarran limped out at the weekend. McManus isn't back yet. They're again a lot of young fellas, so wanting to put their hand up. It's an intriguing battle, but I would expect Kerry, to get the show on the road, I'd say, and get 2 points.
And they have their parish rule issues up there too.
They have their parish rule issues up there.
I thought we get the rent tonight. no rent tonight for John Kerry. He's going to keep it for a while. Yeah. And in case you don't know, if whatever club you're born with, stay playing with it. Don't transfer ever. Stay with the club you're born with. That's John Kennedy. Won't let nobody out at all. Lads, listen, thanks very much for joining us this evening. I suppose it's great to be back, Liam, in fairness. It's amazing. We're here 1 year today. Can you imagine?
Exactly, and it's.
I got a draw last year. I wouldn't get a draw this year. God, I might be on my last year the way things are going. But it's great. And it's great to have the comments coming in and the engagement as we spoke about. It's great to have the likes of Declan Bonner as well. Mr. Ivan Hurley there, fair play to you. Going to his big textbook there. He thought he was the soccer manager, but sure, we told him he played a bit of football. He was grand. It wasn't Packy Bonner you were meant to get now, it was Declan Bonner, okay? But we have it. Guys, final, we've down to the last 40 seconds. A lot of people either liking or not liking the jersey. And I'm going to finish on this one. No, Donal, I hate that navy jersey. Never have look in it. A green and gold hoop in the middle or a shoulder would set it off. And what was the points that Jack referred to cost us? Well, look, we played that one out already if you're a listener. And you heard it there. Declan Bonner, the most neutral man, sitting back in the stand. And what did he say?
Ball was wide.
That ball was wide.
It was wide, all right. I suppose it's the most honest answer you're going to get.
I suppose we'll get a replay, will we?
We won't look for a replay.